In today's episode of Inspiring Female Entrepreneurs, I'm bringing to you Rana Akkad, who has founded Jad's Inclusion, which is a special needs school based in Dubai. Now, one of the things about female entrepreneurs is we're often known for setting up businesses if we see a problem or a need within society. And Rana created Jad's Inclusion because she was unable to find a school that her son could go to and be included in mainstream education. My son also has autism, and I can absolutely relate to the struggle that Rana had. And I am in absolute awe and am so grateful for the work that Rana has been doing within the UAE and in Dubai. And I'm so delighted to share her story with all of you today. The thing I love about Female Fusion is we are a truly global organization. We have members from all over the world, and we have every single nationality, every single culture, and every type of business. And it's from this diversity that makes us so strong as Female Fusion. And this is why I'm so excited to share with you stories about our members. We're bringing to you over the next 30 days, 30 inspiring female entrepreneurs that are going to give you the most incredible ideas and share their stories about what it's like to have their business. Welcome to another episode of the Women on the Rise podcast. And today I am joined by Rana Akkad, who is the founder of Jad's Inclusion, which is a special needs school here in Dubai. Rana, welcome to the Women on the Rise podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a great honor.
You're welcome. Now, you're a member of Female Fusion.
Yes.
And you are also the founder of Jad's Inclusion. Maybe you could tell all of our listeners about Jad's Inclusion and what it does within the community.
So Jad's Inclusion is a personal struggle. It's when my son was not accepted in any school in Dubai. He's on the spectrum. He has autism, but he's moderate. He's not severe. He's not high functioning, and therefore, every time I used to apply for a special needs as a neurotypical school, he would be rejected, yet his impairment wasn't severe enough to be in a special needs center. I tried special needs center, he started regressing. So this is where Jad's Inclusion idea came from, that we need something to fill the gap between these two extremes. And we opened our doors in 2016. It's a boutique school for children, not only in autism, all kind of special needs that are not accepted in the system. Let's just put it that way. Struggling in the mainstream school, too high functioning to be in the special needs center. And when I say struggling in mainstream school, it might be academic, emotional, physical, whatever it is. And eventually we are a boutique school, as I said. We don't isolate. The whole idea of Jad's Inclusion is we incubate. So we incubate, whatever the child needs work with, we toughen him or her up, and then we send them back to the community. Let it be school, let it be job, let it be, life skills. That's our main goal.
And so what's the age range of the kids that you have at the school?
So we are between 4 to 16. 4 is we like to start early to build the right foundation. And 16, because usually by then we already hope to have already integrated the child either in a school or, as I said, like we do internships, we do different kind of jobs.
It's amazing. And so how long would a child typically spend at the school before they go back into mainstream school?
So this is the tricky question. There's no one size fits all. There's no fixed answer. The younger we start, the easier it is. We have a couple of kids that can stay a semester or two. We have others that stay 3 or 4. We have a couple of kids that chose never to go back. So when I say, and this is why I specify when I say inclusion, and this is the mistake or misunderstanding that happens in the community, inclusion doesn't always mean mainstream or doesn't always mean regular school. Inclusion is to be an independent, productive citizen. So a lot of parents, although they can be in a mainstream school, by choice, they chose to stay with us because they're like, if my child is improving way more here, why should I send them to something that he doesn't belong? And sadly, the academic system is one of the few systems that didn't change throughout the history. It's a copy-paste, and it doesn't work that way.
Oh, you know that I agree with you on that as well. I have two kids with ADHD, one who has autism as well, and it's it's not easy
It's
when
not
you
easy.
have a child who is neurodiverse to find those places where they feel accepted and part of something. And
Absolutely.
my biggest frustration with schools, if I reflect back on it, is that most of them weren't willing to look at other ways of learning or other ways of teaching kids
Absolutely.
and saying, well, this is our one way of doing things and that's it. We don't look at any other way.
Absolutely. And it's heartbreaking. And it's not only, and a lot of people will tell me, but what's the benefit of us taking our child, like they take it like a step back or like, as I said, isolating? It's not. It's a simple example. I tell them, neurotypical kids, when they're between the teenage, they even hate themselves. They hate everyone. They hate their parents. They're struggling by themselves. So, and then after that, so it's the innocence of being a child, then you get that hard phase of being teenager, and then you have the maturity. So what we do is protect our kids in that phase that other neurotypical kids to start with are struggling with. So this is the whole idea of, no, sometimes taking a step behind or protecting your child might give them a push forward.
Yeah.
This is what we believe in because, yes, out there it might be harsh on anyone, not only struggling kids with the diagnosis.
Yeah, I wish that there were more schools like yours, or that schools would take a more active approach to recognizing neurodiversity.
You'd be shocked that when we opened, I thought it was only a struggle that we're opening here. We had parents relocate from Canada, US, UK, because they couldn't find such a thing and they had to move back home. We had neighboring country, we had from Pakistan, Saudi people move and join us. So
Wow.
it's supposed to be a boutique school. It's supposed to be not more than 40 kids. And I was just telling you, like, if we exceed the 40, we're doing a bad job because we should integrate. And the whole vision kind of changed because so many people are coming. It's a huge issue, it seems like regional wise or worldwide, because yes, a lot of schools are not knowing how to deal with our kids.
And do you partner with any schools as well to help the schools become better at including the kids?
We do regular trainings. We do also, so what we do is when we send one of our kids to a school, we don't just drop the kid and leave. What we do is we follow through, we follow with the behavior plan, with the individual educational plan. And by doing that, we send our team, we educate, or we teach the staffs in the other school to help with the right environment. And this way they can just pick it up to the other students over there as well.
That's really good. I was saying too as well that one of the things that I realized with my son, with him growing up, the way that he thrived was not being pulled out of class and made to sit in like special classes, but instead having the special education person speaking to the teachers and saying, this is how you teach him.
Absolutely.
This is how he learns, because he spent so much of his life being excluded from everything. I remember one time getting a call being told, well, he's too disruptive in class because we have carpet time. And he starts at one end of the carpet and then he's on the other side of the room at the end of carpet time. And I was thinking, who invented carpet time anyways? Like
Yeah.
what like 6 or 7-year-old boy
Yeah.
wants to sit on the carpet for an hour while you do story time?
Yeah. We had one of the stories that we had one of the dads drop his daughter over and he literally used the term fix her. So he dropped his daughter and he's like, fix her, you have one term, and then after a term, I'm sending her back to her mainstream, but I have to do that step because they're threatening to kick her out. Funny enough, and I always use this story as an example, funny enough, a term passed and he was the first one to pay the second term tuition fee. So I was intrigued. I was like, I need a meeting with the dad to see what's going on. What dad did not share with us is that she was actually suicidal. She tried to hurt herself. She was severely depressed. She kept on saying, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I don't belong, and all that. And then when she moved to Jad's inclusion, I mean, yes, she might not have the same diagnosis as the people around her, but if she's struggling cognitively and the other child is struggling verbally and the other physically, she didn't feel any less.
Right.
She felt that, okay, so it's not a problem to have,
Yeah.
a delay. It's not, he admitted that was the first time she has friends in the longest time. She actually celebrated her birthday party, which she couldn't because she didn't have any friends. So seeing all this, she stayed with us like a couple of years. She managed to go back to the system. But again, when she was tough, when she was confident, when she was strong. Things like that, I highly believe in. Obviously, it's showing. I don't understand why schools cannot do it, because also to give you an example, it's costing. And the reason people tell me why JADS includes a nonprofit, it's because if we make it profit, we cannot deliver the services we do. If you go to one of our classes, for example, math, the teacher is doing multiplications, 2 times tables. One child is doing it through touch math because he's sensory and he's doing it through sound and all this. The other one is doing it visual. The third one's doing calculator, and the third one's doing classical. So no school can accommodate all these. But whatever does the job, does the job.
Yeah, but I also wish as well that even at a university level, that this would be mandatory, that all teachers going through becoming teachers need to understand this, because there's so many people who are neurodiverse, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, neurodiversity is so fascinating, because I find that the way that my kids look at things is completely different. Like, it's going to change the world. Like, the ideas and the things that you come up with, they're so powerful.
The most successful people in the world.
Yeah.
We call them odd.
Yeah.
They're not odd. They think out of the box for a reason.
Yes.
Because their brain functions differently, and they're the ones inventing all the amazing stuff.
Well, and that was one of the things, actually, when my son was diagnosed with autism. He was diagnosed when he was 18, so after he had graduated from school. And when he was assessed, the assessment center said, oh, he went to that school. They're like, we've actually seen a lot of kids from that school being diagnosed with autism and neurodiversity after school, because these kids are so smart, super intelligent kids, but there's other things going on with them. And one of the first things I did after that is I thought, oh, well, who else has autism? And I did like a whole research, and it was amazing to see how many well-known people had autism 100%. Or have autism. 100%. You know, Elon Musk is one of the...
Yeah, absolutely. And these are the ones that at least you know about. I'm sure many more which we don't know. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it should be normalized. Yeah.
It should, 100%.
So it took you 3 years to get all of the permissions and the school. Yeah. You run... How big is your team that you have at the moment with the
We're
school?
20 staff members to, at the time, being 27 students. And that also explains where the nonprofit part plays. So we don't believe in the one-to-one. We want the child to be as independent as possible. But we do believe in manpower, and we do believe in focusing our effort with the kids. So we are almost one-to-one.
Amazing. And what other advice would you have for other entrepreneurs that might want to set up some sort of social enterprise? What would be your top tips for them?
I mean, what I learned is that, yes, follow the rules, but don't follow the rules at the same time. This is like the most diplomatic way to say it. I mean, be creative. Right. Even if a door shuts, there are multiple ways to find different keys to open it. That's something I learned.
But I think that's a lesson in entrepreneurship as well, isn't it? That
it is.
So many times we get told no. And it's like that, especially even as well if you're looking for financing, or you get told no a lot. You know,
100%.
you could be told no 100 times before somebody says yes.
100%. Yeah, it's just the same. Also, this applies to entrepreneurship, which is basically believe in your idea, believe in your business. Because also when I was planning to open, yes, it's nonprofit, but it's still treated as a business, right? You still need to pay salaries and pay costs. And so many people told me, you're going to be closed by the first year. They're like, there's so much inclusion. Schools are picking up. All schools are having divisions. You're the only one that knows what your idea is. You're the only one that knows what your business is. Yes, schools are way more inclusive. Yes, there are inclusion division in each school, but they are not what we do. You're the only one that knows what you're doing. And I'm not talking about our business, all businesses.
Yeah.
Believe in your business, know what you're doing. Don't let people bring you down, and go for it.
And I think also as well, surround yourself by people who get what you're doing, because
Like-minded
it's
people, 100%.
really interesting that other entrepreneurs don't always get it. And it's not that they're coming from a place of lack of support, that it's almost that because they don't have this entrepreneurial experience, that they don't want you to fail. And oftentimes the response is, well, don't do it because you're going to fail. Where from an entrepreneur's perspective, it's like, well, I'm going to do it. And if I fail, I'm going to find another way and another way and another way, because I believe in this.
And how are you going to reach if you don't fail? Like, I mean, if you take their advice and not try to start with, you will never know if you were able to do it or not. So let me try, let me fail. And as you said, learn from your mistake and give it another try another way, even if you fail.
Yeah, all entrepreneurs need to hear that. And what about for you? Are you doing any work within the community? Because there's the kids that you have at the school, but one area that I always found hard for myself is having somebody to talk to and understanding, because there's a whole piece of supporting the kid, but then also the parents. Do you play any role in that at all?
So funny enough, this is how I started. When I first started, when I found out about, well, my son, when I found out Jad's had autism, I was devastated. I thought it was my fault. I thought I did something wrong. And I just, back then, it was blogging. So I started blogging and I started just sharing my fears, my thoughts. And this is where it all came. I mean, as a background, I'm a fashion designer. I have nothing to do with education. But it started with blogging, and I called it Autism in Dubai. And people started blogging more and more. Sadly, a lot of people are anonymous. They didn't want to know who they are, but they were still sharing their fears. And where we are today in Jad's inclusion is actually the feedback of other parents. So it wasn't only just like my idea, upbringing. It was the constant fear of all the parents bring together. So I would be scared about my son's future. The other mom would pitch in. The third mom would be like, no, but don't worry, my son's older and he managed XYZ.
Yeah.
So there was this community, and this is where we grew it to become Jad's Inclusion. And this is why I joke, usually when I do the tour, I almost put a bit with my staff that once I'm done the tour, if the parents are walking out, if one of them is not with joyful tear, I did a bad tour. Because as I said, it's the fear of all community, not only mine.
Yeah.
And we still do it, of course. We still do a support system. We still do regular parents meeting to discuss and share positive and negative things together.
It's what you've done and what you've brought together within the community is so beautiful.
Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, I wish that when my son was younger, I wish that there was something like that for him, because 15 years ago, there was nothing. I remember being threatened with having him expelled because the school didn't want to deal with him. And as a parent, you're like, what have I done wrong? I felt like a failure as a mother. I had mothers at school tell me I was a failure.
Sadly. What guts me is that when they do that, especially the schools, they make it seem like your child is the only one. And this is the thing that I always remind our parents, because when they do the parents meeting, and it's usually they bring you and you see a whole table of like 6 professionals in front of you, and they make it sound that there's something wrong with your child.
Yeah.
No. And this is why I always tell parents, that meeting, they do it with like 100 other parents, but unfortunately these parents don't know that.
Of course.
And this is why it's very important to do that networking and to do this support systems, to know that no, if the school is not being able to deal with your child, it's the school's fault. It's not your or your child's fault.
Absolutely. And I guess because parents don't know that, right? Yeah. As you said, that you feel that they're the only one. And the thing that I wish, and I say this to other parents who have younger kids in mind, if your school isn't working for you, change the school.
100%.
And I was really scared to do that because my kids were at a school which was seen as like the best school. And I was like, oh, well, I can't find any better. Why would I leave? And then it got to a point where my daughter was at the school, and the last month of term, she refused to go of the school year. She was like, I hate this so much. The school is, I don't want to go to school. And she literally, like, I couldn't get her out of the house. Like, I couldn't get her on the school bus. She's like, I'm not going. And I moved the school. She went to another school by our house. And it was really interesting because when I went for the school tour, they were like, why do you want to come here? You know, like, bless them. They were like, you're already at like the school that like all of the other parents want to get their kids into, and you want to come here? And I was like, yeah, you know, she wants to come here. It's close to the house. And it was so interesting, night and day, which really reaffirmed to me, it doesn't matter how shiny the buildings are, like how, you know, world class, whatever the awards are that they've had, that it's what makes your kid feel
If it's not the right fit,
feel
it's not
good.
the right fit.
Yeah. And, you know, her first parent-teacher interviews, so I think she'd been at the school for about 6 months, and I had parent-teacher interviews, and every single teacher was like, oh, she is like the best student. We love her. We love her enthusiasm. She's so good at sports. She's like top of the class and this and that. And I thought, this is so interesting, because the previous school, I would have the meetings and they would say, she's super lazy. She doesn't try. She's not very smart. And, you know, she's all of these different things. And I thought, all it takes is moving a school that might not be as good as
That's
what
fine.
other people see. If your kid is happy, that's all that matters.
Absolutely, absolutely. The thing I say us parents are guilty of is, as you said, we might follow other parents, or we might follow the shiny thing. It might be as shiny, it might be fantastic, it might be the best school there is, but it might not be the right fit for my child. What
Right.
we do as a mistake, we forget that our children are human beings. They still have taste, they still have it's just like a lot of people get shocked. I don't like coconuts at the flavor, and everyone's like, what? But it tastes so, I don't like it. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean coconut is not good. I don't like
Yeah.
it. So our kids, same thing. That school might be the most shiny thing, but if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit.
Yeah. And that's why I think the thing that I learned from being a parent, having older kids now, is don't wait. You know, just do it. That if it's not working, don't wait a year, 2 years. I feel really, well, you know, we can't change the past, but I wish that I would have moved her sooner rather than waited for all of those years, because I was convinced it was the best school.
I mean, that's how we learn, I guess, right? From our experiences and
Yeah.
and this is why a lot of people tell me, like, why do you share what you share, or why are you always an advocate about this? Is because exactly what you said. If what I learned, or the delay of me learning something, can speed the process for another parent, let it be. If other parents are scared of admitting something and maybe hear it, they just need the push. It's always comforting to hear it from someone else.
Absolutely, yeah. And do you, as an organization for Jazz Inclusion, do you do partnerships or collaborations with other organizations, either within Dubai or the UAE or internationally?
Yes. So as I mentioned, basically, as I said, that yes, there's integration of sending kids to school, but then those that don't belong to school, they need a plan B. And what we did now, we affiliated with ASDAN, which is a vocational program in the UK, which certify the kids worldwide with any module they do. It might be vets or retail or whatever it is. And what we're doing now is affiliations with corporations here in the UAE. So we have now, this coming term, they're going to 3 of our students are going to do internship at Citibank, and we're hoping for one of them to be hired. We have a great affiliation with Club Apparel, and we do different retail places from them to do internships. We also have supermarkets. We have Noon. We also did internship with them. So we are building and expanding more to do these connections to find jobs for our students.
Excellent. So anybody who's listening as well, if their company would want to have a collaboration, they can get in touch.
Absolutely. And I always say it, that sometimes our kids might be able to do the job more than others. A small example I give, for example, let's say packing boxes or for a shipping company. Many of our kids are so OCD and so perfect. I'm serious. They're so perfectionist.
I know.
You know, exactly. You have one. And when I did my training, when I went to the US to come up with Jazz Inclusion, of course, I was doing it for my son. So I went everywhere to pick the best of the best. And it blew my mind, because one of the places I went is, you know, when you buy a DVD or TV and there's this sticker that says, be careful with a plastic bag, don't put it in your head. Did you ever think who sticks it or who puts it? You never trouble yourself. It's people with OCD.
Because they get it in the right...
They get it in the right way. It's soothing to do repetitive behavior.
Yeah.
I walked in, I kid you not, I stayed there 5 minutes. I got anxiety. I got palpitations. I was like, I can't see this anymore. If you see the guy who was doing it, he was in heaven. So sometimes certain jobs are done for certain people. If we hand them the right job, they will thrive at it and they'll be fantastic. And this is why when I say we're building different affiliations is because to find the right job, right place to each one of our students.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a place in
100%.
This world, right? And
100%.
it would be so boring if we were all exactly the same.
And this is why I constantly remind, not one size fits all. Please think out of the box. If your child doesn't belong, look for plan B, C, D. There are plenty of other plans. Just find the right place and
Definitely.
Don't corner them.
Now, you've been in Female Fusion for a while. You're one of our newer members.
Yes.
How has your experience been with Female Fusion?
I love it. I love the like-minded people. I love the network and support. I wasn't able to attend because, as you said, I'm relatively new. I wasn't able to attend a lot of events, but the warmth and the welcoming and the easy approach is mind-blowing. I'm the ugly truth, and I'm very honest. And I had experiences with women getting together.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't know why, for some reason, usually it's not supportive. So that's why Female Fusion blew my mind, because it's actually people in there for the same agenda. Like, helping each other, benefiting each other, other businesses. In one meeting, like just being there, so many people pitched in, as you said, like, oh, I have a flower place. Maybe your students can do this, or I have this connection. Maybe I can talk. So they're so welcoming. And I was like, it truly blew my mind, because as I said, I wasn't expecting such a pleasant experience.
That's because we're for nice girls only.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's so important that, like, going to work or like anything, that you want to be surrounded by nice people who are
100%.
going to be kind and supportive. Life is too short to...
Totally agree.
Like, we don't compete against each other. There's so much business for everybody. Why would we?
But it's very rare to find. I know it sounds simple that you're saying it, but it's rare, and Female Fusion has it, and that's what I loved about it. That they're there to help each. No, I mean it. It was truly mind blowing when I went and saw what I saw.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing job.
I mean, I just want to help women build profitable businesses and to be successful and be successful doing what they love. So I'm truly grateful to hear that it's helped you and that you think
it did.
Everybody's so welcoming, because they are. I mean, amazing. I love the women who are in Female Fusion.
I mean, those that I met, as I said, they're fantastic, and they're in it for the same reasons, for the right reasons. So it shows.
Great. And what about you? What's next? What are your plans?
I mean, we are in a phase of expanding. We are in a phase that basically, as I said, we expanded into the more vocational. Now we're more in the therapy settings. We get a lot of kids, unfortunately, that's not worked on at all. And that's the part of either denial or shame or whatever it is. So we are working now to expand into more therapy settings. So that's our next plan.
And it can be quite hard for parents to access that sort of thing as well.
I always say it's harder to deal with the parents, sadly, than the child, because to overcome their ego, a lot of times, to overcome the community and society's beliefs, to overcome the shame, sadly, and to remind them that when you ask for a child and when you wanted a child, no one could give you a catalog to pick and choose. You're going to love that child no matter what. And just to remind them that sometimes that there's no perfect child, all children are perfect, and you're going to love them no matter what. It takes some time, and once you crack this code, we're in the right path.
Amazing. Well, Rana, thank you so much for all that you do for the community.
Thank you.
Because you have tremendous impact on the community, and I'm really grateful for all the work that you're doing and for being a member of Female Fusion as well.
It's an absolute pleasure, and thank you for having me here. And I actually do look forward for gaining more from the network.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Women on the Rise podcast and our 30 most inspiring female entrepreneurs. If you are inspired by today's episode, why not come and join us in Female Fusion? We would absolutely love to have you. This is where you will be able to connect with the most incredible female entrepreneurs who are all committed to building a most profitable business. All you need to do is head over to femalefusionnetwork.com/join. I look forward to seeing you on the inside.